Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Hope Logan had always been the center of the storm in the sun-drenched hills of Los Angeles, where Forrester Creations' fashion world hummed with ambition and the Spencer family navigated its never-ending tragedies. Hope was the daughter of Brooke Logan, a lady whose romantic entanglements had impacted generations, but she stood out for her calm resilience. She had structured her life around her daughter Beth, her job at the family business, and the convoluted loves that appeared to define her existence. However, recently, something felt different. A creeping lethargy had sunk into her bones. Mornings that had once begun with vigor now began with waves of sickness, which she tried to dismiss as stress from the latest corporate disputes. Hope had seen Carter Walton again. Their relationship revived after years of ups and downs. Carter was dependable, courteous, and understood devotion in a way that many others in their circle did not. Her past with Liam Spencer, however, remained like ghosts in the house halls. Liam, with his history of erratic emotions and health worries, had been a continual pull on her heart. The two guys symbolized two distinct paths, one of steadiness and one of passionate unpredictability. Hope told herself she was moving forward, focusing on her work and Beth, but her body had different ideas. After a hard day at Forrester, where tensions with Steffi Forrester had boiled over design lines and family loyalty, Hope felt a strong disorientation in her office. She braced herself against her desk, dismissing it as low blood sugar. But when the nausea returned stronger that evening at home, Brooke noticed right away. "Sweetheart, you look pale. Have you been eating properly?" Brooke inquired, her mother instincts kicking in as she poured a glass of water. Hope initially waved it away. "It's nothing, Mom. Just the usual chaos. Steffi's pushing for changes again, and Carter and things are good but complicated." Despite this, she had a nagging hunch. She and Carter had shared personal, passionate nights that seemed like a new beginning. There was also that heated confrontation with Liam a few weeks ago, which was caused by old emotions during one of his most vulnerable moments. Hope dismissed the thought, but sleep eluded her that night. The next morning, she sneaked out quietly to a private pharmacy away from the prying eyes of Beverly Hills. The pregnancy test lay in her suitcase, like a ticking time bomb as she drove back to Logan's house. Hope stared at the two pink lines that developed almost instantaneously in her bathroom, while Beth was safe at school. Positive. Her heart raced, and a rush of delight and dread filled her veins. A new life. Another child. But whose? The timing was hazy in her memory. Nights with Carter merged with that intense encounter with Liam. She collapsed to the floor, tears flowing down her cheeks. This was intended to be a blessing, but in their complicated world of relationships, it felt like a complication that could devastate everything. Brooke was the first to know. Hope spoke to her mother over coffee in the kitchen, her voice wavering. "I'm pregnant, Mom. I don't even know how to process it." Brooke's eyes widened before softening with Logan's signature empathy. She drew her daughter into an embrace, murmuring encouraging words about strength and family. "We'll figure this out together, honey. You've always been a wonderful mother to Beth. This baby will be loved, no matter what." But Brooke's mind had already raced to the implications, Liam's potential reaction, Steffi's inevitable fury, and the ripple effects at Forrester Creations, where Hope's line, "Hope for the future," was already being scrutinized. News spread swiftly in their close-knit group, as it always did. Carter suspected something was wrong when Hope called off a dinner appointment, her justifications seeming false. He arrived at her home that evening, his face etched with concern. "Hope, talk to me. You've been distant." When she finally told him, his reaction was a mix of surprise and cautious optimism. Carter wanted this. He had hoped to start a family with her, but the issue of paternity remained unanswered between them. "If it's mine, I'll be the happiest man alive," he replied, grasping her hands. "And if not, we'll handle it. I love you, Hope." His words were genuine, but Hope could see a glint of uncertainty in his eyes, a concern that Liam's shadow might once again overshadow their opportunity at happiness. Meanwhile, Liam was struggling with his own issues. Recent health worries prompted him to ponder on life, particularly on missed opportunities with Hope and Beth. He had been making gestures, modest attempts to reconnect, reminding Hope of the family they once had. When reports of Hope's illness spread, perhaps through medical staff or a slip from Brooke, Liam confronted her at the Forrester house. "Is it true?" he inquired, his voice full of emotion. Hope nodded, unable to conceal the truth anymore. Liam's face briefly brightened up before becoming clouded with questions. "Ours? After everything?" The prospect excited him, evoking images of a reunited family, but it also scared him. His previous blunders with Steffi and others had taught him that happiness in their world frequently came with strings attached. Enter Dr. Lee Finnegan. Lee had become a mainstay in medical dramas involving the fashion elite. Lee, a respected physician with ties to the Forrester and Spencer families through her son Finn, maintained a professional demeanor while also demonstrating personal zeal. She had treated numerous members of the circle over the years, ranging from routine checkups to more difficult situations such as Sheila Carter's disruptive influence or Luna Nozawa's recent turmoil. When Hope made an appointment for a thorough pregnancy workup, Lee analyzed the preliminary tests. The examining room felt antiseptic and frigid, with the ultrasound machine buzzing faintly while Lee prepared the gel. Hope lay on the table, her hand gripping Brooks for support. Carter remained outside, giving her space, as Liam's texts went unanswered on her phone. Lee handled the wand with practiced efficiency, her countenance focused. The screen came to life, exposing the faint glimmer of a heartbeat. "There's the baby," Lee replied with a measured tone. For a brief while, Hope's eyes welled up with tears as she saw new life blossoming within her. But then Lee halted, focusing on specific metrics. Her brow furrowed slightly as she looked over the statistics on her display. "Hope, the pregnancy appears viable so far, but there are some concerning indicators." Hope's jaw dropped. "What do you mean?" Lee said cautiously, her voice steady, but heavy with the weight of unpleasant news. "The fetal development shows some irregularities in growth patterns. Combined with your blood work, there's a possibility of chromosomal complications. It's early, but we need further testing, perhaps an amniocentesis or more detailed scans. I'm not saying the worst, but it's not straightforward good news." The sentences fell in place. Sad news shrouded in clinical jargon. Hope felt the room swirl. This was not the pleasant announcement she had hoped to share with Beth or celebrate with her family. Lee went on to outline the hazards without sugarcoating them, including the possibility of developmental difficulties, the need for monitoring, and the emotional toll it could take. "Pregnancies like this require vigilance," she said. "You've had a history of emotional stress, and that can factor in. We'll run more tests right away." As a doctor, Lee had delivered countless pieces of terrible information, but seeing Hope's face, pale, determined, yet fragile, sparked a rare empathy. Lee had her own complex family dynamics, her protectiveness for Finn conflicting with Sheila's intrusions, and she appreciated the resilience that women like Hope required in their world. Brooke clasped Hope's hand tightly, fighting back her tears. "We'll get through this, baby. Second opinions, whatever it takes." Outside, Carter walked, sensing the change in atmosphere as Hope emerged with red eyes. Lee pulled him aside momentarily to explain the preliminary findings in professional terms. Carter's face tightened with worry, and his mind had already switched to support mode, researching specialists and changing his schedule at Forrester to be available for every visit. Word spread faster than anyone expected. Steffi, ever the rival, got word from Finn, who had overheard Lee discussing the case in private at the hospital. Steffi's reaction was predictable. Anxiety for the baby combined with old jealousies about Liam's possible participation. "Another child in this mess?" she murmured to Finn at home, though she moderated her comments because Finn's mother was involved. "Finn, ever the peacemaker, advised prudence. Lee is the best. If there's an issue, she'll handle it with care." But Steffi couldn't help but wonder how this pregnancy might permanently reintroduce Liam into Hope's circle, affecting her own efforts to establish her marriage and family. Liam arrived at the hospital unexpectedly, his concern dominating everything. When he got the tragic news directly from Hope, his world shifted. "Not again," he muttered, recalling previous losses and concerns. He had previously lost children in sad circumstances, and the prospect of another tiny life struck him hard. For the time being, Liam swore to be there regardless of paternity. "We'll fight this together, Hope. For the baby, Beth, and us." His words were genuine, but they also sparked the triangle that had characterized so much of their lives. Carter waited nearby, tension rising as the three explored unknown emotional territory. Lee swiftly scheduled the follow-up testing. In the days that followed, Hope juggled maternity appointments with her Forrester obligations. Her line's designs took on new meaning, possibly influenced by parenthood and including softer, more loving themes. But uncertainty weighed on her. Nights were filled with deep contemplation. What if the baby encountered difficulties? How would this affect Beth, who is already sensitive to family changes? Brooke provided unending support, reflecting on her own experiences with unexpected pregnancies and losses. Life throws curves, Hope, but Logan's are survivors. As the results came in, Lee provided more detailed updates. Some markers improved, providing glimmers of hope, while others required continued monitoring. "It's not hopeless," Lee said at one meeting, her tone turning from clinical to almost advising. "Modern medicine gives us options. But you need to reduce stress where possible." Lee's own life matched the advice. Her conflicts with Sheila had taught her the cost of perpetual drama, and she saw similarities in Hope's world of fashion feuds and romantic entanglements. The tragic news spread. Liam's father, Bill Spencer, responded with his usual bluster, providing resources and demanding the best treatment money could buy. "No grandchild of mine faces this without a fight," he vowed, while his involvement frequently complicated rather than simplified matters. Rich Forrester weighed in at the office, reminding everyone that personal and professional life would soon intersect. "Family first," he said Hope, although Steffi's presence made the remark seem strained. Hope discovered moments of peaceful strength. She talked to Beth about the prospect of having a sibling, framing it optimistically despite the uncertainties. "There might be some extra care needed," she explained gently, "but we'll love this baby so much." Beth's simple joy gave solace. Carter demonstrated his dedication by attending scans, holding Hope's hand, and researching nutritional regimens. Liam, too, stepped up, offering thoughtful presence and heartfelt chats about co-parenting, regardless of DNA. But the underlying melancholy stayed. Lee's original delivery of the news had sown seeds of anxiety, which blossomed during calm moments. Hope looked up conditions online late at night, her mind racing with options. Support groups for high-risk pregnancies became a lifeline, but she kept her celebrity life quiet. Friends such as Donna and Katie Logan rallied, transforming the Logan home into a source of support. Even unexpected allies arose. Finn provided medical insights from his perspective, combining Lee's competence and familial love. The pregnancy progressed gradually over the course of several weeks. Ultrasounds revealed the baby's heartbeat was increasing, a small fighter echoing Hope's own spirit. Lee modified the care plan to include more frequent checkups and lifestyle advice. "You're doing everything right," she told Hope during one visit, letting out a rare smile. The unfortunate news had not determined the outcome, but rather prepared them for whatever lay ahead. In the larger context of Los Angeles culture, the incident provided fodder for whisper discussions at galas and boardrooms. Forrester Creations was abuzz with conjecture about Hope's illness and how it would affect her creative productivity. Will a new baby change the power dynamics in the Spencer-Forrester feud? Steffi focused her energies on work, developing stronger lines to take control, while secretly fretting about Finn's divided attentions via his motherly. Hope's journey honed her character. She pondered on her past mistakes, rushed relationships, rash decisions, and determined to take a more deliberate approach. The pregnancy, with its melancholy implications, compelled maturation. She mediated between Carter and Liam with fresh grace, putting the child's well-being ahead of romantic claims. Paternity tests loomed as a future stage, but for the time being, unity prevailed. One evening, as the sun set over the Pacific, visible from the Forrester rooftop, Hope stood with Lee after a session. Thank you for being honest from the start, she said. Lee nodded, her professional demeanor softening. Medicine isn't always kind, but truth helps people prepare. You've got a strong support system. Use it. Their chat touched on life's unpredictability, Lee giving veiled insights from her own family issues, Hope opening up about the emotional weight of legacy in their interwoven clans. Hope returned home, surrounded by loved ones, and felt a quiet resolve. Lee's devastating news was a shock, but it also brought shards of her universe together. Beth created photos of the baby, Carter designed a supportive nursery, and Liam provided a calm presence without pressure. Brooke prepared comfort dishes, her cheerfulness contagious. Despite the uncertainties, hope, literal and figurative, persisted. The fashion industry continued to spin. New collections premiered, rivalries erupted, and alliances formed. However, hope remained in the center, carrying not just a child but also the dreams and complications of several families. Lee's involvement went beyond medicine, and her updates became anchors in the storm. Further testing produced mixed results, some reassuring, some requiring changes, but each step strengthened resilience. Hope's story was one of endurance. From the first shock of the positive test to Lee's solemn delivery, she handled the tangle of potential dads and family perspectives with grace. The baby signified hope in the midst of danger, a new chapter in the bold and the beautiful tale where love, loss, and legacy intersected on a daily basis. The community came together in both big and little ways over the course of several months. Charity events at Forrester raised awareness for prenatal care, delicately acknowledging Hope's predicament without exploiting it. Sheila, ever the wild card, provided unsolicited advice, which was respectfully rebuffed, while her tangled relationship with Lee added another layer of strain. Finn attempted to mediate as best he could, putting his familial loyalty to the test once more. Hope kept a record of her thoughts during silent reflection, documenting the emotional roller coaster. She expressed concerns about the baby's health, excitement at feeling kicks, and perplexity at her heart's conflicting loyalties. Carter's patience drew silent appreciation, while Liam's development demonstrated maturity that he had long strived to reach. Beth thrived, her enthusiasm imparting the grown-up's perspective. Lee remained a constant presence, her medical knowledge augmented by a growing grasp of the human side. "Cases like this remind me why I chose this field," she said once. The tragic news had become a manageable reality, with processes in place to deal with any issues that arose. Ultimately, the pregnancy forged deeper relationships. Hope became stronger, her link with her mother solidified, and her co-parenting plan began to take shape. The fashion empire adapted, with designs that reflected themes of power and rejuvenation. In Los Angeles, where beauty hid turmoil, Hope's narrative demonstrated the power of addressing difficult facts with courage. The heartbeat on the monitor remained constant, a sign of hope in the face of uncertainty. Families mixed and clashed, but the new life at the center offered hope for healing. Hope Logan, ever the optimist in a world of dramatic twists and turns, continued on her journey with love as her guide. The path ahead was filled with unknowns, but Lee addressed them full-on, thanks to her leadership, family support, and inner strength. Lee's countenance became exceptionally somber as she fought to find the perfect words, and her silence spoke louder than anything she spoke. When she eventually broke the tension, the news she imparted shocked everyone. Hope's new pregnancy, which had prompted delight and cautious optimism, now casts an unexpected shadow. What should have been a happy chapter became ambiguous, complicated by details that Lee could no longer keep to herself. Hope had tried to embrace the new beginning, believing that it would heal old scars and restore stability to her life. She let herself envisage a future full of love and new possibilities. But Lee's disclosure threatened to derail that tenuous hope. The medical problems she mentioned weren't simply minor complications. They pointed to something more serious, something that could change everything for Hope and the baby. As the reality set in, emotions ran high. Questions swamped the room, but clear solutions were frustratingly out of reach. Hope's mind raced with terror and disbelief, caught between wanting to persevere and feeling absolutely overwhelmed. The delight she had felt before was now mixed with dread as she realized this journey would not be as straightforward as she had hoped. Meanwhile, individuals closest to her reacted in different ways. Some attempted to remain optimistic, offering reassurance even while uncertainty loomed huge. Others couldn't help but be concerned, sensing that Lee's warning was more serious than she was ready to express. Tension rose as everyone worried what this meant for Hope's future and whether she was genuinely ready for what lied ahead. Lee remained tough but empathetic, advising Hope to approach cautiously and plan for every conceivable scenario. Her tone made it plain that this was more than simply a precaution. It was a severe matter that required immediate treatment. The room fell quiet again, the weight of the moment settling on everyone as they faced an uncertain future. As Hope stood there, trapped between fear and determination, one thing became painfully clear. This pregnancy had the potential to transform everything in unexpected ways. The show left viewers guessing what surprising secret Lee would unveil next, even as the truth became increasingly